All right, there we go. Hi everyone, how's it going? Jim here, and this is another live stream about agentic AI stuff. I somehow managed to screw up the first stream start, so if you saw disappearing events on YouTube, this is why. So last time we've built a basic agent for Litlytics that allowed us to build the pipeline using conversational interface, and we ended at that, right? So we have a bunch of tasks left that are more complex, and this is very much what we're going to be tackling today. I think essentially the idea is to implement one of those tasks just to see how that works, and then, I can do the rest off stream probably, because that is just, boring work that is essentially repeating the same stuff over and over again. Speaking of boring stuff, I have refactored the code and updated some of the stuff after the last stream. So what I did essentially is I split tools into separate files. So you now have actually a tool definition that is standalone, that has the description, name, and all that jazz, and is loaded dynamically from a list of those tools, so we can easily add and extend those tools. I think that was basically it. Yeah, so I've tweaked the basic prompt, the system prompt a bit, and that's pretty much it. So not much work, is just, make the code a bit more bearable, essentially. Yeah, so the idea today is to add the tools that we had before. The problem is, I don't remember what we had before, so we're going to go into our branch and have a look at the things that I deleted, because I, of course, didn't write it down anywhere else. Let's have a look. So, pipeline is... All right, I also changed the... You know what, let me just start the server. I also changed the way it looks a bit. So now instead of having a view that is sort of completely different, right? I thought, hey, we are essentially bringing out the chat on the left side. So here's what I did. I put the chat button here, which basically toggles this chat view, right? This kind of makes more sense visually and technically, and you don't have to like move your mouse around to toggle this as much. So I think, and it also leaves the menu over here, which again makes more sense. And I added some like loading states and all that jazz, so the boring bits basically. Okay, I wanted to look what functions we are missing. New agentic layout, add, generate, pipeline. Yeah, so I think this is the commit where I change things. Yeah, there we go. This is what we are missing, and we want to see this file. I think this is, yes, so we are missing this bits, right? So we miss, let me think. So we got add new step, edit step, test step, and run a pipeline. So this is the 4 things we're missing. Let me think, which one would be the most complex? So essentially the key problem with the new functions we're facing here is that the current functions that exist, the current tools, are essentially singular, right? So you take the arguments like suggest, or I mean, I guess in suggest case, you don't even need an argument, you just need the docs. Well, like suggest a pipeline, right? So in this case, it just takes the task, right? And the user always says the task beforehand, like, hey, I need a pipeline to do X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z is the task, right? In case of adding new step, editing a step, testing a step, and, well, executing a pipeline is also easy, actually, so we don't particularly care about that. So those 3, they are more complex because they require extra data, I guess, right? So if we have a look at the pipeline nodes, let's have a look. Let's say, I think node connector is what we want to do. Yeah, there's our create step, right? So create step requires a step, requires a current step, which is whatever we connect to, right? And then whether it's a manual, well, I mean, in this case, it's not going to be manual, so we're going to always automatically create it, right? So this is essentially what we want to run. But to do that, we need to ask user about where to add a step and what is the name and description of current step, because this is essentially how the step is generated, right? Hey, Barak, welcome to the stream. All right, so let's try to do. Well, let me think which one is more complex, because we basically want to start with the most complex one and then simplify it, right? So creating step just basically needs name and description. I think that's it. So let me think. Is there type? Well, type. Okay, so type, name, description. We got 3 parameters here. Then we got editor step. I mean, editing is editing is essentially, you can either refine. So I guess we want to go with refinement. So it's basically which step and how to refine. Again, pretty easy, right? So nothing too complex. So the creation so far is the most complex. And testing a step is, so if we are testing, update node, delete step. Oh, right, testing is a separate thing. Where did I put the test? No, test docs. Hell if I remember. Okay, so there's test is a separate button, right? Let me go to litlytics.app. I think I should have some pipe. Yeah, so test is a separate button on the node itself. Right, so there should be a test button here that opens a test. Let's see, test. What? Step test data. Yes. Okay, so there's our that is a test data. So how do we do that? Configure step. No, that's not what we want. So the steps just form some sort of a prompt chain when it runs. I mean, so Litlytics, the way it's built, it's basically prompt chain plus code. So you can mix in the code steps that are literally just JavaScript, right? That does something to the input. But essentially, yeah, the idea behind Litlytics is that it simplifies running chains of steps because LLMs are really bad at doing a lot of things at once. But if you split that into smaller steps, the results are usually very, very good. Okay, edit step. Where is my test step dialog? Edit step. It's not here somehow. Wait a second. What am I missing? Why am I okay? My brain. I haven't touched Litlytics in like a week because of work stuff, and now I forgot everything. So we're gonna try to remember things. Okay, configure step. There's the button, and then there's so step test is what we want. Okay, cool. Well, I closed the step node. We also need that for editing. So okay, let's write it down because I will forget. So we need step type, name, and description. Thank you, AI. This one needs step ID, I guess, right? Or step. I guess let's call it specific step, and then refinement request, right? And then test, we need specific step and test doc. I think that's basically all we want, but let me just double check. So when we test, we basically pick a document to test it out of test document. So it has to be a test document, right? And then we say test pipeline step. Yeah, and then you just give it the data. Here's the step, and then here's the doc ID. Okay, so test doc ID. Okay, so what is the most complex one out of those? I mean, technically, the adding new step is sort of the trickiest one because there's like 3 things we have to ask, and if the user only gives like 2 of them, we have to clarify. I guess let's go with adding new step, right? So we got this this bit here. Yes, create step. There we go. So this is what we want to implement as a tool, right? So let's go with that. I can do the edit and testing steps off the stream because there's really nothing fancier happening there than, in the creation of a step. So let's go with that. Basically, the plan for today's stream is to create this more complex function that adds a new pipeline step that also asks the user, or clarifies, I guess, if the user doesn't provide enough information. And we probably will also need to, what I want to say, we probably will need to do the whole dialogue splitting, because right now, when you start chatting, you have the whole dialogue, and you essentially, so there's, the longer you chat, the bigger the context, the more issues you have, essentially, is what I'm going. Hey, Rodrigo, welcome to the stream. Thank you. I mean, nice to be back, as I already said on a previous stream, I think. I am hoping to stream a bit more in the coming weeks, month, whatever. We'll see how things go. Life has been a bit weird for me in the past few years, but hopefully it's going to be a bit more stable. So happy to see you guys coming back to see me stream random weird stuff, basically. All right. So back to the creating steps. Cool, so this is running, this is good. So what do we need to do? We need to create a new tool, right? Add new step TS. And another note, I've been shown, so if you notice, I'm not running VS Code, I am running a cursor. I've been shown a demo of cursor by one of the people I interacted with, and I was like, okay, I need to try that. So we're gonna try it today, right? Right, so you can see I already played around with it, right? But we're gonna basically try to see if it can write the tool for us. Add a new tool definition. The idea of cursor is that essentially it's a VS Code that has integrated LLMs pretty much everywhere in the flow, not just like GitHub Copilot that was, the auto suggest bit, but you can also literally tell it to do tasks and pretty complex tasks that are multi-step that it will do for you, right? And not just do for you, so you can just ask it, hey, do this, but you can also feed it your relevant code base bits. So it's sort of a RAG code generation directly inside of your IDE. Of course, it sends the data somewhere, right, to LLM anyway. But it's the fact that it sort of finds the relevant bits and then shoves stuff into LLM that is just relevant is super cool. So I just want to try it and see how much it can speed up my work. I'm from Databricks. Let me know if you want to explore adding our Mosaic capabilities as part of your project. I mean, I would have to look into that. So I never worked with Databricks, I'll be honest. But let me just so Databricks Mosaic. I will absolutely bookmark this and have a look and come back to you. So let me just can I open your profile? Hide user? No. I don't know. Okay. If you could shoot me an email with your contacts and this offer again, that would be amazing. Like then I could, have a look and follow up on that. Okay, anyway, back to the tool. So let's ask LLM to add a new tool definition for agent. The tool should should add a new step to pipeline, right? Tool should take, what did we write there? Step type, step name, I cannot type apparently, and description as parameters. I think that should be sufficient. So essentially, like creating a new tool because there's already a bunch of references how to do that, right? So it basically needs to find them, find how the step was created, shove that into LLM, and then let's just give it a go. So as you can see, it reads the files and figures out which ones are fitting. And then, okay, to add new tool, blah, 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 new tool definition, add new step TS. It even says where to add the file. Okay, so we click apply. It shows the diff. That is very nice. Okay, and then we got this thing. What does it say? Okay, there's an explanation of what it did. And then it also says we need to do this. And it also does a diff. Okay, so you can actually validate it and say yes, no. That is very neat. Okay, let's start with this one. Let's apply this. It's just going to be a bit easier to read. I'm going to close this one. Add a new step to pipeline. Right, so it technically did what I asked, right? Add a new step. So we got step type, step name, step description. We take those. Right, so instead of, well, no, this is correct, right? So it just uses date now as a step. I think we are not gonna do that. We're gonna probably do the same thing we did here. Or no, we didn't actually do that, right? So because here you already have some sort of a step when you click create. Let me think for a second. So I guess it doesn't matter what we use for ID, so date now should be fine. It's probably better. Hold up a second. So I know that you can also basically do Control K to edit. Use UUID for step ID. Use browser API to generate that UUID, right? So we're running in a browser, so we don't particularly care about... Okay, I think that should work, right? So there is a crypto API in the browser. Yes, open that, please. Which means that should be... Yeah, so that should work. I think it does also have the UUID. Where is my crypto? There's the crypto reference, right? So we want random UUID. Okay, cool. So that just validating AI because I know. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. Do we care about input? Now I'm forgetting whether. So when I add, so when I add the step, right? Okay, let me remember. So if I click add step, I have to specify the input myself, right? So we need to, I guess we need to say the input as well. Okay, can I just, no, not K, Control L, edit tool definition so that it also asks for input step input type. But I mean, I shouldn't probably fit the context in there, but let's see. So theoretically, it's a fairly easy. Yeah, I mean, context was definitely a mistake. So it took way longer to generate it. Probably without context, it's gonna be a lot faster. Okay, let's see. So doc result, yeah. So it even picks up the enum that we're using. Well, I guess maybe it wouldn't do that without the context, right? So it wouldn't know what kind of types we're using. Then we got the step input. Yep, that looks perfect. So we're gonna accept all of that. Okay, so we generate the step. We add a step to pipeline source step. Right, this is what I forgot. So we need a source step. But in this case, so when we're chatting with it normally, right? So if I create a new step, let's say, what do we? Yeah, we have the sentiment analysis, right? So let's step. Analyze sentiments. I'm just gonna add it the standard way essentially for now. Analyze sentiments of the document. Create. So when we are gonna be adding a step, so this is gonna generate the step. So when we're gonna be adding a step, we essentially have to say where we want to add it, right? So we can add either like after source or before. So there's 4 ways of saying it essentially, right? So you can say after source. Well, no, okay, literally 2 ways: after step or before step, right? Because output and source are also steps. Oh boy, how do we handle that? That is gonna be tricky. Okay, let me do Control L again. Adjust definition to take an additional parameter, I guess. Param step source step. So the thing is, what I'm thinking is that, you know, humans will never write, I want to do it before step 1, step 2, right? Nobody, I mean, maybe step 1, step 2, yes, but oh boy, how the hell do we handle that? So essentially, I want to make it easy for natural language descriptions, right? So I can say, hey, add a new step after a sentiment analysis, but I'm not necessarily gonna name it exactly as it is, right? Which means that we'll likely have to pass the context and say it, hey, okay, so source step ID. So we're gonna take ID. I don't think I need context in this case, right? Yep. Yeah. So that, or did it apply? You did not apply anything. Hello? There we go. Now it did. Okay. What? Seems like application is sometimes a bit shaky. So, or maybe I broke it a bit. So this looks good. This looks good. Okay, yeah, I definitely click. So there seemed to be some sort of a bug in the cursor where it basically applies it multiple times, even though it should only do that once. Right, but we do not do that, right? So, whoa, what the hell is going on? Yes, accept all, so save that. So what we need to do, find source step by ID. Let's do that now. That doesn't have get step by ID, so we don't really have that. We need pipeline steps. Find, yes, so that is one. So we do that. Okay, so there's 2 edge cases that we have. I guess let's do that. If source step ID equals Litlytics pipeline source ID, then we do that, right? As processing step. Yes, thank you. So we should probably import that. Okay, or no? What? No, not processing step. What was the base step, right? Is what we want as base step. Okay, and then the source step. Yes, so this is gonna be, I mean, we theoretically can say source step or processing step. That should be fine, right? So this is okay. Or undefined, right? Okay, so if we do that. Okay, and then there is another edge. No, wait, we should, so there shouldn't, it cannot be like, hey, yeah, we connect after the output, right? Okay, and then add new step to the pipeline. Okay, cool. So we generate a new step, we find the source. If the source is source nodes, then we're gonna just do that. That's literally the only edge case we have. And then we add it. New step added, step name. Here's the question. Do we want to give it more information to give to the user? I don't know. I wonder if we do. So, I mean, what we could do is we could, I guess, you know what? So we have the pipeline, right? So yes, let's add the messages to agent, but find newly added step. New pipeline. Yes, you almost guessed it. The problem is, I think add step actually modifies the ID. Yes, so we need to say look up by name. Right, so we find the one that is, let's call it created step. Find newly added step. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do JSON stringify created step, right? But we're gonna do it, right, I should escape those. We're gonna do it this way. Okay, so we're gonna basically, yes, please null to. So the cursor is kind of neat, but seems a bit buggy. Like, I do see how it can speed me up, but those minor bugs are mildly annoying. I don't know if it's because I'm working with the VSL2 or, you know, like remote extension essentially, but yeah, needs some ironing out. Anyhow, a new step added. So we say here's a new step, here's the JSON for it, and then, okay, prompt agent messages with results. Yeah, that should be sufficient, right? Okay, so tools. Yes, we do want that. So that should be good. Now, the thing is that if we do run it right now, this won't do anything, right? Because to run a function, LLM needs all of those things. And it doesn't know it needs them because description is literally just add a new step. It will be like, I'll add a new step and then do nothing. I mean, we can try it, right? So that's at least my guess, unless it will decide to just do it without params, but add a new step after sentiments. Let's do it this way. And I am guessing what will happen right now will just be like, no, wait, choices. No, it did a tool call. So it just, no, wait, what? Aha. So it basically randomly came up with the step itself. I guess that works, but that's not really the behavior we want, right? So add a new step. So basically let's give it more instructions, right? User must specify step type, name, description, and an input type, and a source step. And a source step. We're not gonna do, let me wrap this because it, no. Wrap, yes. Because it doesn't fit on the screen. So theoretically, once we do that, let's reload. If I do add a new step, it should basically not execute a function and just say, yeah, there we go. That's what we want, right? Okay, so that's decent, right? So it says, hey, yeah, so it asks for a source step ID. Source step. And a source step. Okay, so basically my thing is that it asks for... Yeah, so it didn't understand me that after sentiments is after the analyze sentiments, right? So that means that we have to give it context. And to give it context, okay, so there's we asking agents. To give it context, we have to pass it the current state, right? So this is what it's missing. Okay, we no longer need that. We no longer need that. We no longer need tools. So basically what we're missing is context, right? So we are currently giving it, where's our console? So this is what we're giving it, copy object. If I open that, a wrap. So we're basically, there's the system prompt, there's whatever, and then there's the user message, right? So somewhere in here, we should have a context saying that, hey, this is the current pipeline you're working on. But we also don't want to give it all the time, because that would mean if your pipeline is empty, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be a problem, right? So it will increase the context size, obviously, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So let me see. We got system. Let's try role system content. No, that's not what it's going to be here. So we're going to say current. It figured it out. Okay, now that's impressive. So it figured it out that I wanted to put a context in. So basically, let's add some comments. So basically, this is going to be a system prompt. This is going to be current pipeline for context. Exactly. And then there is our user messages. Honestly, sometimes LLMs amaze me at how well they read the intention of, what kind of things you want to do. So let's try this again. So theoretically, now it should, if it understands the context correctly, it shouldn't ask me, well, it still asks for step 0, right? So, okay, we should try to solve this. Okay, copy object. Let's have a look what it actually saw. No, we do want to wrap. Okay, so there is... Me collapse to hide sidebar icon on the top right. What? Top right? Oh, that's not exactly convenient, but oh boy. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, there's our system prompt. There is our pipeline. That is a weird behavior. Okay. Yeah, so it shows the current pipeline, which is fine. Cursor so far is a mixed bag. Like that's not how you show a string, right? I should be able to read it. Okay. Add a new step after sentiments. Right. So how do we and a source? I guess maybe the source step is what it doesn't understand. So essentially, you want to say and a step to connect to. Yeah, let's try that. Maybe that will work better. So essentially, we want to know, we want to let it know. So, hey, if user already said this case, which in this case, yeah, okay. So it understood that, right? So, but how do we, user must specify. Okay, let me think for a second. Don't ask for things user has already specified. Yeah, let's try that. Will it stop asking? So basically, I wanted to tell, hey, you still need to tell me this and this and this. Now it still asks for step ID. God damn it. Maybe that's not so much of a problem. Only asks for things user has not yet specified. So let's try reverse. Because sometimes negations work, or like, I guess, positive prompts work a lot better than negative ones. Nope. Okay, so it doesn't want to. Okay, you know what? We're not gonna focus on that right now, so I'm not gonna sort of polish it to the shine. So we're just gonna say add a new step after sentiments. It's gonna tell me, okay, you need to it's an LLM step called summarize sentiments, and it should summarize all sentiments from all from all previous results. So theoretically, from that sentence, right, it should infer that we want a step that is sort of aggregate results. It should figure out description itself. It knows the types. It knows the name. So let's see. Will it be smart enough to understand what we want? Because if it will, that's honestly is going to be impressive. All previous okay. Honestly, I thought that would be harder. Okay, response. There's our tool call. Summarize sentiments. Summarizes all sentiments, providing overview of emotional tones and key. Yep, that's perfect. And there should be, so this is our prompt for generating the prompt for the step itself, right? Yep. And this is our response. Yeah, that works. Okay. To analyze sentiments. Okay, question is, if we now let's see. So basically this was, it can add after analyze. I kill it, I reload. Let's say add a new step after source. Or let's say before sentiments, right? So that's, I'm interested if it can figure out the before bit, because this is also kind of important. Connector, which in this case, so okay, let's see what it does when it executes, right? Before, now it says step 0, but is that actually correct? Where's my, this is my objects. I don't remember which ID I used for, God, okay, this is annoying. Okay, can I, yes, please, I no longer need that. So I want this, and then we want all /n. It's actually, yeah, okay, no. /n, we select them all, and there is, yeah, okay, so this is a bit broken JSON, but that's fine. So source, no, so the source is source 0, right? So it shouldn't be step 0, it should be source 0, which is a problem in this case, but we'll see, let's see if it's, so it should be a code step that lower cases all docs, like that's all lower cases each document, right? Let's just do that. So I mean, theoretically, it should infer everything it needs from that. Should come up with a name. Should come up with the description. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? That is a message. There is, so this should be our tool call, right? No. I've added a lowercase. So okay, so it added it in a wrong place, which means it doesn't understand before or after. Okay, let's try to solve this. Okay, first question is, okay. Maybe I'm a moron and I just cannot write. Okay, let's see. Before sentiment. So there we go. No, okay, still doesn't understand. What if I question? If I tell it add a new source after source, would it understand what to do in this case? Right, so in this case it understands. So it seems like it has problems with basically understanding understanding that we want to do before. So basically inferring before is a problem. Let me write this down. Okay. adding new steps before other steps currently breaks LLM source step selection. Let's call it this way, right? So yeah, essentially, if we tell it after something, it understands it perfectly fine, right? I mean, let's try it. So add a new, it's a new code step that lower cases each doc. So if we do that, that should be sufficient, right? So right now we should see this after source step, I hope. Okay, that is okay. So that's our tool call, I think. Content usage. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. So after something it understands, before something, we will have to teach it somehow to do it. But that is, I think, I have to think about it basically on how can we pass it to the prompt. So let's actually have a look. Where is, so this, oh, I erased it. Okay, that's a problem. Add a new step. So well, it will basically tell me where it connects to. Okay, so that's good. Copy object. Let's have a look. Okay, so we're interested in system prompt /n. Okay, so this is how it looks, right? I wonder if we need a more complex format for function descriptions, because in this case we need a more complex description of saying, hey, you know, this is what you have to ask for, this is how you have to reason. So it's not just a step description essentially and then some stuff in addition. It's a bit more complex. Okay, I will have to think about that. I cannot answer you immediately. I mean, we probably want to format it in a way like description, something like that, right? So like go args and then extra instructions, something like that, right? So we want to give it a bit more space to work with and a bit more arguments to be like, hey, you know, look at this, look at that, do it like this, do it like that, right? So we don't just give it a function and say what it does, we also give it extra way, or I guess extra instructions on how to think about those arguments, or maybe params is probably the better word here. But again, I will have to think about that, so it's going to be a thing for another stream. So, but this does work. So let me think for a second. Yeah, so we do that. It did. Okay, I can kill that. We don't need this. We did that. We did this. Adding step works. Am I missing anything? So it will. Yeah, right. So I guess we do need this extra instructions bit. Let me think for a second. So if I open that, let's try to quickly edit this, right? So we got all of our descriptions here. And essentially, we are gonna say, so basically the problem is we have to give it more instructions. We have to say it, do not come up with any of those parameters yourself, right? Because right now, in the very beginning at least, it just straight up figured like it was, yeah, I'll just add some random step that makes sense, right? That's not what we want. We wanted to basically be a bit more strict about those. That is fine. So we've done that. So we need a description, more complex description format. How do we do that? Let me think for a second. So essentially, when we assemble the tools, we assemble them over here, and then when we assemble the tools here, we just take the functions list, which just maps this description to this thing, which means that description for each of those should be function description, right? So we got that. I think let's start with this. So theoretically, if we just pass this as a prefix to all of them, but that means that here we do this and say function arguments, right? User must specify. Okay, and then we got extra instructions. So in this case, we can do it a bit more complex, I guess. So arguments are just step type, name, description, input type, and the step to connect to. User must specify arguments himself, or I guess themselves, right? That's one. And then two is when user asks to add step before other step, look for a step. How do I properly prompt this? So basically we want to tell it look for a step with a matching name and add a new step to, I mean, let's just try that. I don't know if that will help. Okay, let's see. Add a new step before sentiments. Would that be sufficient? Okay, my question is, I mean, I get it. So it stopped asking for all parameters, which is exactly what I wanted first time. Maybe that new formatting is actually what we were missing. So let me just we're gonna close all of those because I don't really care. No, we need ask agents. I don't really care about the other steps anymore, right? So I want to have a look at the at this. When I have a look at the, no, that's current pipeline. That's not what I want. Why am I just copying pipeline? I need the whole object. And oh god, that bug is annoying. Like really, really annoying. Okay, contents. So this is our system no. And there we go. Okay. This formatting looks fine, right? So we're good. Okay. Now my question is, if I tell it to add a code step that lower cases each doc. So let's try simple. So we are adding before. Here's my question. Did it actually understood the assignment or not? Because if that is all it takes, no, it didn't. So it added it after. That is, there's a tool call and source step 0, right? So source step, right? Okay. So I guess what we want to do is user must specify an source step ID points to step before the before which new step will be out. There we go. So maybe it doesn't understand that the source step is like the one that should be always before the new step. Let's try that. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna stress about that, right? So it's just step 0 right now. Add a code step that lower cases each doc. Now here's the question. So that's already a response. Is that the tool call? So okay, still does, yeah, okay. How do we convince it? How do we convince it to look at a different step? Source step should always be a step okay, let's say, how do we phrase that properly? New step is always added after source step. Keep that in mind when choosing source step ID. Right, there we go. Let's try that. I don't know if so basically it seems like the problem is that it doesn't understand that we're saying that you know, when you say before sentiments, it means do not take this step. Sentiments is a step, but actually find what connects to it. So it seems like it doesn't understand that. Okay, let's see. So we could just go stupid way, right? If user asks to add step before other step, look for a step with the same name and find a step that is that precedes how do you precedes it? There you go. And I guess use a step that precedes it, right? So basically we want to tell it, hey, you have to search for a previous step and then use that as the source. Okay, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, other step. Yes, so we do that. Nope, still uses step 0. God damn it. Okay, question is why does it do that? Source. Is it? No, source step is not optional. Is it because we're using? User must specify if user asks a step before other step, look for a step. Yeah. If there's no step before, use source. Okay, so I see the problem we might have, right, is that we do have steps, but we also have copy object. We also have in the pipeline. We also have no. That's a plan. There's right. So no, that's a docs. We got the source, right? I guess. I mean, I think it's always primary source, so we can try to say use primary source as source step, and that fix it. Okay, so basically, yeah, my problem. So there's a few issues here, and it might be that one, it doesn't understand that the source is actually also a step, right? Two, it might not understand that it needs to look at the connecting steps to do that. Have a look. Is that the function call? No. Are you the function call? Yes. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, so basically it didn't look at the source at all because it didn't think it was a step, which is basically what was the problem. I wonder if we can just kill that. Okay, so consider let's try simplifying it. Consider primary source to be a possible source step as well. Maybe that's what it was missing, right? So like dump it down completely, just, or you know, the simpler the instructions, the better the results will be. Would that actually fix it? Which primary source in this case? Hey, did we solve it? Okay, so there is this is a tool call. Yes, it did. Okay, so basically the core problem of the whole thing was that because the source step in the pipeline is not in the steps array, it didn't even look at it. It was like, I'll just use first step. Perfect. Okay, next question is. No, I think that's good, right? So we got that, we got this. It does what we want. I think we can commit this. So I don't see any immediate problems with it. We have adjusted this. Okay, let's have a look at actually what we've done here, right? Git add git. Okay, so let's see. So we added our pipeline for context, which is fine. We have, so this is our new step function, which is also fine. Why is there an empty space over there? No, there's no empty space. What is this? That pipeline. So oh no, there he is. Absolutely is. Okay. Okay, let's see. So this looks good. Yep. Okay, so we changed the descriptions to be more extended. And yeah, so that's I mean, a lot easier than I thought, to be honest. I expected to have more problems with it and basically I expected us to spend more time explaining to LLM what the hell it's supposed to do, but I guess even 4.0 Mini is smart enough to do things like this. So okay, so add a new tool to add new steps to pipeline. Add a new agent tool. Let's be a bit more verbose, I guess. 21. Okay. So we did that, and actually that solves this one, right? So pipeline UI state, that is also done. How to expose track of invocation results, that is also done actually. So we're only left with context limits. And essentially finishing, so adding all the other tools that we had. There was the test step and edit step, right? I wonder if you can dynamically generate. So basically with the test step, the problem is you have to specify the documents you can use, right? So it has to be like I wonder if we can just statically type it from the current documents. I don't know if it makes sense, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a wrap for today. So that was nice and short, I guess. 1 hour stream. If you guys have any questions or suggestions or want to see me tackle specific tasks, now is the time to throw them into the chat. If you are watching a VOD of this, you can throw it into comments or come join our Discord and ask there. I am hanging out more and more there, so I'm sort of gonna revive it slowly, as I mentioned before. I guess that would be it for today. And if there are no questions or suggestions, we can call that a wrap, basically. So I'll give you a second to think about that. I'm just gonna check that I have indeed, yes, I have indeed pushed everything. So this is good. This is fine. Let me just check. Yes, pushed 1 minute ago. Code is on GitHub as usual, so feel free to check it out and play around with it. Cursor, mixed feelings. I don't know what's going on with that long string, just removing half of the screen. There are some minor bugs here and there. Again, might be related to me using VSL. Don't know, we're gonna see. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it from my side. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I see you next time.